30-day sex challenge. Sex for 30 days straight.
Don't have sex. Don't have sex.
30-day sex challenge.
30-day sex challenge.
The 30-day sex challenge.
The 30-day challenge really starts with you downloading the emotional needs questionnaire. One, saying, I want to know who I am at my deepest level, because if I don't know who I am at my deepest level, there's no way that the person that I'm with can understand who I am, and there's no way that they can meet those needs. And so we're saying for 30 days, don't neglect each other sexually, because that's one of the most intimate things that God's given us as a married couple to connect with. But then for single people, we're saying, why don't you take the thing that we believe God has reserved for marriage, which is sex, take it off the table. So in your relationship, you focused on each other's emotional needs, and you're beginning to connect on a spiritual and emotional level, and taking the sexual level off the table until marriage. We came up with this idea of the 30-day sex challenge, and literally in the last 3 days, I fielded over 300 emails from across the country of people asking me, what in the world is this? Some positive, some not so positive, I'm not gonna lie. Why is everyone so shocked that the church is talking about something that God created in the beginning anyway? You know, 28 verses into the Bible, God talks about sex. And I don't think Adam and Eve walked out of the woods and said, hey God, guess what we can do? We have these parts and they fit together, and it's, wow, what happened? I really think it was God's idea.
Want to make out?
Start off, right?
Yeah.
When I first heard about the challenge, I was like, okay, this is really good for Doug.
I think for me, because I was single, the first thing I thought about was no sex. I knew it was going to be about me not having any sex.
Well, I think one thing that kind of scared me, because it's just, you know, it's like sex is for people to be married, and it's like, I felt like a clock started ticking whenever the Thursday started.
Okay, this is day 2, and we are starting the 30-day sex challenge.
I think for Mike and I, it's going to be a little bit challenging, more so than maybe couples who aren't living together, because we do live together. So yeah, it's going to be hard, very hard.
We'll see how the days go through, and
hopefully we don't kill each other.
that's right. We're gonna make it. Okay.
Here's the booklet that everyone gets. Is you get this booklet, and inside of it talks about the emotional needs. Then there's this calendar on the front, and the calendar is basically you're saying that every single day that your spouse actually meets that emotional need, you get to check that day off.
I think a lot of people have a misconception that it's just about sex, and it's not. It's fulfilling each other's needs, and there's actually 10 different needs on the questionnaire, and I think for a man to have to meet a woman's needs, it takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
And even for me to have to meet my husband's needs, that takes a lot of work.
The reality is that it's I think much more involved to please and satisfy your wife, both physically and emotionally, than it is to please and satisfy me.
And I'll tell you one thing, it definitely is a lot of work to meet the emotional needs of your spouse, because it's something that you have to do and not think about yourself. And it's amazing how when you give to your partner and you fulfill your partner's needs, even if it's work for you, then it's so much better. Your life is better because they're happy, and then they in turn are able to fulfill your needs, and they want to fulfill your needs. So
Now if you're single, the cool thing is you turn the book over. See, there's the married guide. If you turn the book over, there's the single guide, and you start tracking the same way.
It's day 4, and Mike and I are going to talk about our 30-day sex challenge. The question is, in what situations are you more likely to make poor sexual choices? The fact that I sleep in the same bed with him every single night is hard. It's very hard. In the middle of the challenge, we started talking about, I was like, you know, I think I can sleep with Colleen in the other room because it's going to be easier. And he was like, no. But I was like, yeah, because this is hard. You know, it's hard for me.
More clothes, more cold showers.
Long scrubs. Mike's a dentist, so I had to wear really long scrubs and his big baggy t-shirts. And
Or fooling around before we go to bed or anything like that. Just strictly handshakes.
He doesn't even kiss me anymore, and this is only day 4.
And you really learn to love each other the way God loves us, unconditionally and sacrificially. It takes that unconditional love to really meet each other's emotional needs on a daily basis.
Oh, absolutely.
So it begins there with just understanding who God is and how He loves us.
I think that's been the coolest thing about the 30-day sex challenge is that it's brought an emphasis on relationships, both with with each other and then with our kids and with ourselves.
Yeah. Throughout this challenge, it seems like we've talked more than we've ever talked, and I didn't think that was possible because I think we have really good communication. I think we've got good communication.
Right.
But I think that we both really learned a lot more about each other.
Yeah, and I think, if you put sex aside, you learn so much about the other person that you never would. It's almost like you go into that relationship blind. And it's almost like I look back at my past relationships and I think, I'm just like, what was I thinking? I didn't know about myself, and I definitely didn't know about my partner. And that's probably because sex jumped into it way too early. And it's, sex keeps that from you learning about your partner, and also it keeps you in that relationship longer than you should be. So, mainly thing just, if you don't know about yourself, you can't really expect to learn about yourself like your partner, or put your effort into learning about them and growing the relationship.
And so then hopefully at the end of the 30 days, it's not a 30-day be-all, end-all. It's a 30 days that really transforms to a lifestyle and a habit that you begin to learn how to meet each other's deepest emotional needs.
We're at the end of our 30-day sex challenge, and I thought I would just get with you and let you know how it went for me. I'm actually kind of sad it's over. It was a really great month. I think it's going to continue on. Hopefully it'll be a 90, 120 day, and on type of challenge for most people.
It's gonna be, daily, weekly conversation for a while until maybe one day down the road something else happens. But it's worth it 100%.
So I think that when we do it God's way, and when we begin to love the way that God intends for us to love, our relationships can be incredible, and I think that makes God happy. I think it makes Him smile. I think He's pleased with that.